Joining us now with reaction, author of the New York Times bestseller, Adios America, the left's plan to turn the country into a third world hellhole. And Coulter's with us. Also here, National Review writer Charles Cook. Guys, good to see you. And, by the way, funny line by Trump today about Joe Biden. He said, I think it'd be a great matchup, him against Biden. I have a great record. I'm a job producer. I haven't been involved in plagiarism. I think I'd match up well against Biden.
The one yesterday was even better.
Which one?
I've had it up to here with Rand Paul.
Ouch. Well, look.
He's a funny insulter.
Yeah.
But he's more than that. I mean, he's clearly right about the Mexican wall thing. And this is part of what is appealing about him. Not only is he the only one seriously talking about immigration, and the only one, I think, who is believably saying he'll build the wall, while the rest of them are coming up with nonsense excuses. Oh, there can be tunnels under walls, and I'll secure the border, but we'll use high technology. Okay, these are just different ways of lying to us. You're not going to build the wall. But look, we send Mexico $14 billion in foreign aid every year. Of course they'll pay for the wall.
All right, Charles, let me go to you. You know, I might say it a little differently than Donald, because the bottom line is Mexico has no problem at all with people crossing our border. They're doing nothing to help us, nothing to assist us. So in many ways, it takes away some of their problems, poor people, other issues that they may have. Some of their population coming here has been good for them. We give them aid money, and I think Donald Trump's right. You withhold the aid money, and guess what? You put in a tariff, they're going to get more concerned about it. Makes sense to me.
I have to say, I'm just astonished by the collective insanity that seems to have marked the conservative movement over the last month.
What's astonishing about it? I've been saying secure the borders for years and years and years.
I don't mean secure the border. I mean that Donald Trump, who has put forward no plan whatsoever except to pretend that Mexico is going to pay for a wall, is being taken seriously.
That's not true. Wait a minute. What you're saying is not true. He said he would build a wall. He said that he would build it expeditiously. He said that he would help get Mexico to pay for it. He would either force them through not giving them aid or through tariffs. That's a specific plan. He talked about health care savings accounts for Obamacare as an alternative.
I think the objections are that you have a man in a Republican debate who praised single payer. You have a man still talking about funding Planned Parenthood. You have a man who has flip-flopped perhaps on the wealth tax, on gun control, a man who in any other circumstances would have been laughed out of the primary. If you look back to when Mitt Romney was running, flip-flops that were not remotely as substantive as Donald Trump's.
For one thing, I mean, maybe I'm the wrong person to be appalled by this, because there was one thing Mitt Romney flip-flopped on, one thing, abortion, and I don't think that's a big deal. We're supposed to be trying to win converts over. It isn't really true, the things you listed off just now there, Charles. I mean, it's an exaggeration of his earlier positions. He seems very clear to me, and consistency. I mean, I don't think voters go out and think, well, he's been consistent for 20 years on this. He has certainly been consistent on caring about illegal immigration. He has long before now. It isn't a flip-flop on Planned Parenthood. He's not a politician. He's not familiar with all of the deceptive ways Planned Parenthood will sneak through funding for abortion. And so when he said, look, I'd fund the other health care things Planned Parenthood does, but I wouldn't fund the abortion part, people pointed out, well, they just segregate the funds. You really are funding the abortion. He said, okay, fine. If they do any abortions, no funding for Planned Parenthood. That isn't inconsistent. That is a slight change to a position, because he hasn't spent his life being a policy wonk, but he's coming up with more specific answers on things than I think the other guys are.
Hold on. Firstly, it's not a slight change when you go from being pro-choice to pro-life when you run in the primary. But he actually changed his mind this week. I mean, he said on this show...
That's what I was talking about.
He said on this show, I think yesterday, maybe the day before, that he was fine with the progressive income tax. When you reach a certain point, you should pay more, he said. The day before, he'd suggested he was in favor of a flat tax. Literally 24 hours before. He's making it up as he goes along, and we're all falling for it for some reason.
He isn't making it up as he goes along. The wealth taxes, I mean, as he explained to Hannity, he said, look, I'm a rich man. If you look at what the national debt was back then, why shouldn't we? I can pay it off personally. Now the national debt is so huge, I couldn't pay it off personally. personally. This isn't some huge, shocking flip-flop. I think it's a far more appalling flip-flop, except it isn't a flip-flop. It's a lie that almost every one of the other Republicans running keeps insisting that, yes, they want to do something about illegal immigration, and oh boy, we are going to secure the border first. And Rubio promised for, 3 years that he would not vote for an amnesty bill until that border was secure. And ha-ha, we read the bill. First step, everyone's amnestied. Second step, they all get to bring their relatives. When do we get to the wall? Well, never, because you can build a tunnel under the wall. These are flip-flops that aren't flip-flops. They are direct lies to the American people. What you are illustrating or pointing out are just someone whose life has not been consumed with politics, but no one cares about that. He does have serious
that's certainly
ideas.
one way of putting it, Anne. That is certainly one way of putting it. What I'm talking about is a man who decided a few moments ago that he wanted to be a Republican, picked up a whole host of...
That isn't true. He's been a Republican since 1988.
Oh.
He was at the Republican National Convention talking like a conservative.
He hasn't
likes
done
guns.
very well as a Republican, given he had no Republican positions. He cozied up to Hillary Clinton and he gave the Democrats a bunch of money.
Of
this
course
is
he does. He's a
art.
businessman. That's the silliest complaint. Of course he does. He's at least been a Republican since 1988. He's pro-gun. As far as I know, he's never been anti-gun. What I'm talking about, you're catching him on these teeny, tiny little developments of a position.
Pro-gun. I think we're moving our positions around what Donald Trump says. He was in favor, on the record, of an assault weapons ban. Is that now pro-gun?
No, but a lot of people. So was so were Republicans in Congress. So was John Kasich.
I don't think Republicans treat assault weapons bans like that when anyone else suggests them.
John Kasich actually voted for it.